Hello there, and this is Third Eye Africa TV. The program is Democracy in Action. Still moving towards 2027. Nigeria is on the move again. Africa's populous democracy is on the run. Running not out of being pursued, running towards democracy positively too. Again, we want to look at things that are ingredients to democracy in Nigeria. Talking of security, we have seen that the Nigerian police force needs some clapping. They've been able to rescue a family that was kidnapped, no injury whatsoever. The victims were never killed, but the kidnappers, of course, some of them met their Waterloo. We look at the role of the police force. Oh, so the Nigerian police force can do some nice jobs. Kudos to them. Outside that, we have also seen that joint operations in northeastern part, Borno in particular, Ngolshe, the specific place, we are over 360 people were set free. Again, kudos to the military. It means they are fighting and winning this war, so to speak. And armed with that, we can see that the National Assembly, especially the Senate, is now out to ensure that the executive bill that seeks to establish state police comes to a reality. They're working to ensure that every state gets this copy, and they look at it, send it back by way of concurrence, so that in the end, the president signs that into bill. And that will be for the first time that Nigeria will have state police. This and more we're going to be discussing. My name is Ben Adam Shaman. And of course, we've invited a guest who really is not new here. We have Dr. Omar Tanko Yakasai, and he has always been here. He is the Director General, Tinubu Support Group. So you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Do I say kudos to the Nigerian police? They've been able to rescue the sister of the immediate past Minister of Power, and not just her, with her twin sons unharmed. So Nigerian police can do this?
Yeah, let me say that, just like you said, they deserve commendation for carrying out a very successful rescue mission, and within the shortest possible time. And we must commend the Nigerian police force for achieving that kind of success. I can assure you that there are many occasions where the Nigerian police have displayed professionalism, have displayed bravery, and have succeeded in thwarting the activities of criminals, either during the act or before the act, or even after the act. It's just that this one has been sensational, and Nigerians have followed the event, and from abduction to the rescue. But I believe they are doing a lot. In every area that you live and you go to your room in the night and you sleep and you wake up well, and come out tomorrow morning to pursue your daily activities, on and on. I can assure you it shouldn't be taken for granted. It is because the Nigerian security, including the Nigerian police, are working and keeping those areas safe. If they're not available, if they're not doing their work, I don't think all areas will be safe from criminality. So I think it's a commendation for them.
Yes. Now, this one we want to cast his mind back some days or years back, where some Americans had to come in here. One of theirs was kidnapped in Niger Republic, but hidden in Sokoto. They came in with the Nigerian army or security operatives and did a clean job for that time. So we are seeing that the Nigerian security agencies are coming to aid this time around?
If you remember, even during the military era, the ECOMOG forces, anywhere Nigerian military go for peace mission, they always come out with commendations and medals of honors from the UN peacekeeping force or agencies. And not only that, anywhere Nigerian police travel outside the country for any international engagement, they have displayed professionalism. They have also displayed knowledge, tactics, and discipline. And they have also always come back with commendations and medals. And so we tend to underrate the professionalism of the Nigerian police, the successes that they have recorded, because of some other activities that Nigerians may not be pleased with. And those are the kind of things that get hyped in the media, that get enough publicity. Negative news travel faster and wider. Positive news hardly leaves the environment. So I believe that Nigerian police, Nigerian military, Nigerian security generally have been doing well, have been succeeding. But the unfortunate thing is, anytime they can succeed 1,000 times. And any one success for the criminal is what Nigerians will see and is what Nigerians will cry about. For every one successful criminal activity, the security agencies have said that thousands of them have been averted through intelligence gathering, networking, and successful operations. But nobody gets to hear about that. So I think they've always demonstrated that professionalism. So I don't think it's not a question of have come of age, but they have succeeded. If you remember, even during Buhari, there are some very kidnappings of highly placed individuals, and Nigerian police and the security have come to the rescue successfully without any victim to the injury to the victims.
Now, this is also coming when there was this criticism that the prompt reaction, prompt rescue, the mobilization, deployment, and action of the police has to do with the person, because we're talking of not a mean person in society, a sister to a former minister, and it ensured that, it's like the big family has been touched. And therefore, some people feel, some smaller people, not hear anything. And some have been there 2 months, 3 months, nobody hears about them.
So you see, what people don't understand that is that no crime is the same. And no scenario is the same. Nigerian security, as well, the police, will always do intel gathering and then assess the situation, in my own opinion, and then do what is needful. Sometimes the situation is such that it's not complicated and it requires extra strategy, extra carefulness in order to succeed. Sometimes it's about the terrain. If the location of the hideout of the criminals or where the kidnapping have taken place or where they are hiding the victims is in such a way that it will not be easy to invade and then rescue. The Nigerian police always, or the security, have to try to calculate the risks to the lives of the people that have been abducted, because a successful operation is not only killing the victims and the criminals. A successful operation is about rescuing the victims and making sure that the criminals are apprehended. So I believe that Nigerians love to give reasons for success. For failures, they don't like to give reasons. They will just say, no, the Nigerian police is not working. Anytime they succeed, they will ascribe reasons why Nigerian police succeed, trying to come up with conspiracy theories. So I think it is not about the people that are involved, the high-placed nature of the relative of the kidnapped victims, but because the strategy and the situation allows for a quicker, response and rescue. I don't think if it were any other Nigerians, the Nigerian police would have refused giving the same conditions to rescue them. I don't think they will do that. They can't be deliberate about that. So Nigerians should just give commendation and give accolades where it's necessary, just the way they criticize where it's necessary, and not begin to water down the success by giving reasons for the success as to do with high-profile nature of the victim. I don't think it will be fair to the Nigerian police.
Now, I've had reasons to discuss with very top military officers, retired and serving, and even some police personnel. When it comes to internal security operations, as we have today, the military will always say, we wish that the police should simply be in charge of all these internal matters. So do you think that with this performance, there's already a pathway for the police to take over their jobs of internal security?
Yes, so you see, I think right from the military era, the traditional professional role of the Nigerian army is territorial border protection and integrity, and repelling any external aggression against the country and engaging in wars where it may tend to occur. But many a times, because of the nature of the insecurity, the dynamics that is going on around the insecurity, the level of sophistication of the criminals in terms of network with the international criminal network, Al-Qaeda network, this banditry has international border, cross-border affiliations. Sometimes the Nigerian police have had to, allow a joint operation for success. Nigerian police, I think by their training, basically abating crimes, doing investigation, and dealing with the civilians within the populace and certain levels of crime. But when you are dealing with this kind of criminals, sophisticated criminals that have the kind of weaponry that Nigerian police, by law, might not be statutorily required to respond. If you look at the armory of the Nigerian army and the armory of the Nigerian police, the vehicles that the Nigerian army use or military and those of the Nigerian, there is a disparity because of the level of potential engagement with the opposing, forces that you have to contend with. So once it is up, Nigerian military have no option but to back up the Nigerian police. So I think it is the nature of the crime that has created a scenario, a condition whereby the military have to also be invited to engage. But ideally, Nigerian police are trained and they should be able to deal with internal crimes, civil crimes, and the criminality that are not internationally, backed through this Al-Qaeda or banditry and what have you. That's my own opinion.
Now, this is also coming within the backdrop of people talking of the desirability of having the state police. And you can see the National Assembly also trying to expedite action to ensure that the bill goes to every state assembly, and from there it comes back for the president to sign. But before all of that, how will you assess the police, the security situation right now in the country? It appears that, yes, there are some issues here and there, just like we are talking in Zamfara State. Some 5 elders went to negotiate with bandits, terrorists, and they got kidnapped. So things of this nature. Your assessment so far as it is today in terms of security.
Yes, I must say that it's unfortunate that despite all the effort of the Nigerian security agencies, we still have areas where criminals and bandits operate. And it is not unconnected with the fact that past previous regimes did not measure up well in addressing and nipping insecurity at its bud before it has grown to become a monster. And it has grown to a level that it requires greater resources, it requires greater intelligence gathering, it requires greater involvement of not only intersectoral collaboration between agencies, but also interventions from other countries that are neighboring Nigeria. And so I don't believe that the Nigerian security agencies will just sit down and allow bandits to operate freely in this country. I don't think that any of the head of the Nigerian security agency will be happy seeing his trained men, despite the esprit du corps that they normally, chant, being maimed, killed, injured. I don't think anybody, no Nigerian agency or its security heads would love to see that. And I believe that they are doing their effort, they are doing what they can. But once you have massive number of criminals that are operating, and then they need to match up with resources, both intel, both funding, and the growing nature of it, and then the need for resources for other sectors, there is competition. So I believe that it will take time, and the nature of the criminals is such that they are not confronting the Nigerian security agencies boldly as an army to army or an army to a criminal gang. They live in the society, they live in bushes where it is not manned. And it's not easy when you're fighting guerrilla warfare. People who just hit and run. We know that even in other countries, it's difficult to achieve that. So overall, it is my opinion that the Nigerian security agencies are doing their best, but because of the quantum of the number of these bandits and criminals and their international connection that has made it impossible to have zero incidents of crime and criminality. But I believe there are successes, quite a number of successes. The National Security Advisor, in his reports or briefings, has talked about number of cells that have been decimated. Majority of the leaders have been eliminated. But still, we have a lot of insecurity. But don't forget that there is no success in fighting security without contribution from the people within the community. It is people in the community that know who are the informants, and sometimes the informants live within the community. So the community itself has to contribute to intel gathering, rejection of crime and criminality for the Nigerian security to succeed in, wiping out insecurity. So it's about the contribution of both Nigerians and the security and government working together for us to see the end of this insecurity. So everybody has a role to play, I believe so.
So it looks like the National Assembly now is now energized to ensure that the state police creation has become a reality.
Yeah, so, there has been a clamor for state police, believing that the argument has been that if you have a state police and you recruit from the community, nobody knows the community more than the people who live in the community. And nobody will be better equipped to fight insecurity within the community than people who live within the community. And the state police is intended to create a state police that will recruit within the locals who have knowledge of the terrain, probably understanding of the terrain, and also have relationships that will help in terms of intelligence gathering and also better response than the Nigerian police that is heterogeneous in terms of different ethnic diversity in Nigeria and coming from different state and local government. with this level of insecurity, there is that belief that the solution will be, in addition to the Nigerian Federal Police, to create a security state police that will complement the work of the Nigerian police force. So I think that is what is pushing and motivating the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, to fast track the passing of the bill, and hope that when the passed at the National Assembly, now that the state governors have seen the reality and are convinced of the need, it's easy for their state assemblies to pass it. I just hope, my worry has always been that if you create a state police, they may be hijacked by governors, local government chairmen, for political purposes.
Yes,
so
that has always been the fear of Nigeria.
Yes.
The governors are so overbearing to the extent that they will now say, yes, I now have a state police, a force I can control.
Absolutely.
And release onto perceived enemies.
Opponents and political opponents and oppositions. And we've seen how governors in power even work with some local elements to oppress opposition. And when you give them now, and the governors have no power of purchasing weaponry. It's only the federal government that has the power and the license and the authority to do that. At worst, they will only buy den guns and give it to their vigilantes. Now that the state police will be created, it means, I'm sure the bill will grant some license and powers for governors to equip their state police with some level of sophisticated weaponry. So, and I hope the bill will have clauses, check and balances that will ensure that, one, their state police is not abused or used as a tool for political oppression and suppression. Two, check and balances in such a way that a state that is in opposition to the federal government or the ruling party will not have reason to be confrontational when the Nigerian police come to do their work, and it happens that there is a misunderstanding or differences of political opinion between the ruling party and the governor in that state if they belong to different parties. These are all potential conflict. You can imagine if, like in Kano, when we had the issue of these two emirs, and the Nigerian police were given the responsibility to enforce a court ruling that say a particular emir has not been removed, status quo ante remain, and the police had to protect that particular emir. Imagine if there is a state police. Balance of power, balance of terror, balance of force. You know, when the Nigerian police are protecting, enforcing the law, what will happen to the state police? Because they are also legal. And so, how do we ensure no confrontation? You remember what happened in Abuja, where the FCT wants to go and take a land, and then there was an order that the land should not be, it's force to force. It's force to force. Nigerian police having confrontation with the Nigerian military, and I was telling me they stand up. So I'm saying that these are situations that require, careful thinking, and it should be addressed in the bill so that when it is passed, all these things will be envisaged, anticipated, and modalities for resolution, already, provided for in the act when it is finally passed, so that it will be easy for a smooth implementation of that kind of. So I believe that Nigerians will have an opportunity to contribute to the debate during the town halls that will follow suit.
Yeah, even before the debate before the debate comes up, we have already seen some people saying, look, what will happen is majority of those in the police force today will simply be deployed to their states of origin. And that is the beginning of state police. How do you see this?
So now when you deploy to the state of origin, so those that have not been deployed to what happened to the original Nigerian police force? Are they going
So
to be
that one will be the federal police force.
federal police, and it will be what? Heterogeneous. That means when you deploy people back to their state, at the state level, the state police will be homogeneous, people of indigenous people of that state. But there is also a federal police that will not be based on state. It will be based on Nigeria as a nationality. So it will be heterogeneous. And just like in the US, I know there is an FBI, and then you will see in a movie, if there is a sheriff or a county or Los Angeles Police Department, there is a crime. There is a clear-cut definition when a local crime becomes a national crime. And once the FBI arrives and they read to the local police, that is New York Police Department, Los Angeles Police Department, or sheriff, they will listen and agree and follow the law. Where they believe that the FBI is correct, this is a federal offense, they will quickly withdraw and hand over. Very smooth transmission. Now, if you have a law and you have deployed, the beginning is deployment of state police based on origin, state of origin, you have a federal, that means they will have some powers and they operate in the state. And so, when it comes to intervention, there has to be a proper laid out rules and regulation as to when the state police have a jurisdiction and when their jurisdiction ends, and when the federal police have jurisdiction and where it starts and ends, and modalities for them to work smoothly, cooperatively. I believe that this has to be addressed. That is my suggestion. It should be addressed, and it is this idea of everybody belong to his state, homogeneity in the security that brought us to where we were around the 1966, 67, 68. Because it's easy. It's easy when you are homogeneous to think alike. And so when issues borders on local interests, the state police, how will they be able to distill themselves, to dissociate themselves from the local interests, and then act professionally? This has to be thought through, provided for in the act, so that we find a way of ensuring that it's a smooth operation. And all these fears are laid, but it has to be provided for.
Now, if you also look at it, just because of this attack, just a few days ago, President Tinubu approved the establishment, deploy 1,000 forest guards. And I can see every state, or almost every state, now deploying. We've not seen training. And we've not seen their training. They'll be trained for 6 months, 6 weeks. And they are not being trained with controlled items, AK-47 and their likes. Then we're going into the forest to meet some people who are well armed. Now, that is one aspect. Then you also see that virtually every state has a kind of a para security agency, a kind of. So when you do have state police, how will they operate side by side this? Some food for thought.
Yeah, I think, first of all, the forest guards were existing as associations before, as an NGO. And they were not a government agency, and they were operating, and they know the terrain, and then they believe that they can deal with criminals who deal with small nations, and they also have their ways. Until that bill is passed into an act and it's officially established now as a government institution or agency. I believe that I have not read much about the act and the powers that they have. But I know the Office of the National Security Advisor is in charge of the forest guard, and they have been recruiting since that act has been passed with the mandate of the president, and they have received training. I know that I've heard there are a lot of trainings that they are receiving. I would love to know how much of sophisticated weapons the bill or the act allows them to be equipped with. that will require some additional, research. But I, just like you said, I believe they can't take Nigerians, train them as forest guard, push them in the bush and give them sticks when you are facing people with AK-47. So I believe that they will be properly equipped, trained to be able to deal with the nature of the insecurity that they will find within the forest. But I think that there needs to be more research around that. But also, just like you said before, it was the absence of the state police that makes the state governors to create some non-official paramilitary or military, as they call them, outfits.
Some quasi,
all these civilian JTF, all these Amotekun, all these Hisba, these are small groups of people that have been given the responsibility, even vigilantes, responsibility to provide security watch or neighborhood watch. And it's because the governor didn't have the power to create the police that they were using those as quasi force-like body to be able to address crime and criminality. But even with that, we've seen sometimes, because of lack of training, lack of professionalism, some excesses that we have recorded with those kind of quasi arrangements. Some of the bandits, some of the Fulanis in the forest have said that those vigilantes will just catch them and then summarily execute them, and that has been the reason why the thing has grown bigger. So I believe that whatever it is that has been a challenge with that quasi arrangement should be addressed, because now the state police will be equipped with a lot of arms and weaponry. So I believe that if the governors have the state police, those other quasi-civilian arrangements, security outfits might have to give way, because now that they have what they want.
This is Third Eye Africa TV. We are at the Central Business District in Abuja. My name is Ben Adam Shaman. The program is Democracy in Action, and our guest is Dr. Umar Tanko Yakasai. He's the DG, or the Director General of the Tinubu Support Group. We'll just go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll look at the fact that the military also had some successes in northeastern part of Nigeria, where over 360 Nigerians were set free from captivity, having spent close to 2 months. We'll come to all of that. Once again, our guest is Dr. Umar Tanko Yakasai.
Thank you very much.
The first reason why matters are prolonged and thereby having cold files, according to you, is because poorness of investigation. Other reasons why we have cold files are the procedural system in our adversarial adjudication.
Interference on the part of the government. That interference is the one that usually becomes a backlog in the wheel of prosecution counsel.
No matter how stupid any corrupt man is, if he's going with billions of naira, be sure that he will have part of that billion aside to fight and defend the corruption. Part of the defense is protraction, delay of the trial.
The politicization in Nigeria is one of the core problems bedeviling our legal system. In election matters, we hardly get settled principle. They change by the day because there is political interference. Our system is structured in a way that if our prosecutory bodies want to work, the work is easy. But what I believe is, if, for instance, they don't genuinely intend to prosecute, if it's just to persecute the person, they want you to just stay in prison, do the media trial, presenting that this person is being charged for this, charged for that. I think sometimes it's a case of the prosecutor being responsible and the person being prosecuted also being responsible.
This is where we focus critically on numerous unresolved cases in the Nigerian and African judiciaries. My name is Charles Agedu. Join me on Cold Files, a chronology of unresolved crime cases, only on Third Eye Africa TV.
Welcome back. Yes, before going on this short break, we actually identified the fact that we would discuss, and we want to discuss the successes of the Nigerian military having successfully again rescued over 360 people in Goshe and northeastern part of Nigeria, talking of Borno State. What's your comment on this kind of success, just like the police did in Oyo State?
Yes, I would like to say that because of this huge success that has been recorded by the Nigerian military in Northeast, particularly Borno, I believe that they also should be commended and encouraged to do more and appreciated for risking their lives to go on this rescue mission that has been successful. And I believe that we all know and remember what Borno and Yobe axis used to be, around 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. The audacity of those Boko Haram to attack and decimate places, villages in Borno, airports. At a point, they tried to invade the government house in Yobe. They have to be repelled. The UN building in Abuja, the Yanyan, in what. So those excesses, over the time, if you realize, have been stopped. And before you travel from Kano to Borno, you meet over 40, toll gates, Nigerian military security gates, and everybody has to come down at every point and walk, with their hands up. And so an hour that journey that's supposed to take you 5 to 6 hours takes almost 12 to 14 hours. We don't see that. And if you remember some time ago, you can't think of going to Niger from Kaduna through Birnin-Gwari, because you'll be rest assured that you need an armory to be able to, a huge convoy to be able to pass that. You also remember that between Kano, Kaduna to Abuja, the high level of insecurity and kidnappings. But to some extent, in Ground Zero, as they call it in Sambisa, has been completely decimated and taken over by the Nigerian military. The environment within Borno, Maiduguri metropolitan is safe, and some other local governments, so they are safe. It's because the Nigerian military has been able to, drive those terrorists, kill them in some instances, and once more re-establish the authority of the Nigerian government and security. Those are successes that we seem to have forgotten. And also, now you can travel from Kaduna, the airport road, to Birnin-Gwari, which was not motorable. You can't pass it before. How many cases have we had between Kaduna to Abuja? Significant reductions in these attacks. And I think that it's because the Nigerian military are not resting. Nigerian security architecture working together with the DSS, police, and the military and other paramilitary institutions are working. And that's why we've recorded this kind of success. So this is a further confirmation that the work that they have done before is there for us to see. And this is a further confirmation of successes that they are recording to be able to rescue abducted children. So I think they should be commended for keeping those areas safe and for protecting the lives and properties of Nigerians at the risk of their lives.
Yes. But you still find very keen observers, even though it's in the culture of the military, they don't come out clearly to say they're running short of equipment to fight the war. But you find Nigerians who will always say that, look, the soldiers need more in terms of kitting them, in terms of welfare, in terms of having the equipment to fight this war. What's your take on all of this?
Yeah, so if you analyze budgets, right from 2015 when Buhari, the late President Buhari came on board, and now that Aswaju is there, the amount of money budgeted for security in this country is huge. And majority, of course, you can't come down to provide detailed explanation of what resources were used to buy what, because those are information that cannot be put on paper or in the newspaper for any criminal to have an idea of what is in stock within the Nigerian security architecture. So I believe that the federal government, through budgeting, have invested a lot of resources in providing recruitment, training, equipping of the Nigerian military and generally Nigerian security, and also supporting them in the work that they do. So I think anybody who is not in any of this profession will not have the facts to speak with in terms of whether Nigerian security are well equipped or not. And like I told you, the international nature of this criminal activity has ensured that the supply line, for some of these criminals, either bandits or Boko Haram, is kept open, and so even when the way Nigerians, the government is arming and rearming, those will be the ways through those criminals have chains, that they are trying to restock. So it's a constant, and they keep moving. If they attack them here, they will run away. The next thing, the bush is so wide, Nigeria has vast land, they regroup in another place. And international borders, like I told you, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and other countries have also a role to play. So that whatever successes Nigerian security are achieving, when they push back, they will also push from the other side, and these criminals will have no place to escape. So it's complex.
So when there was this attack in Oyo State, and you could see school children up to date, they are still in the bushes. And of course, a teacher was also beheaded. So talking about General Rabi Abubakar, still in the custody of the kidnappers, and some people are actually wondering. So based on all of this, at the point the Senate said they should summon all the service chiefs and Minister of Defense to come and see what exactly they do with the money. But they had to shave it. They said the budget performance, if budget security took the highest allocation, what is the release by government? If the soldiers open their mouth, it will also indict the government, so to speak. So how do you see this?
Yeah, so I think it will be speculative for anybody to talk about budget and budget release, and except if the head of these agencies come out to say, like I told you, anything that has to do with security is something that is of high priority and absolute privacy, and it's not everything that the heads of these agencies will come and discuss with Nigerians, because you can't give any information that will benefit the criminals in the country. And so I believe that Ate with the National Assembly, with the leadership of the National Assembly behind closed doors, with the Nigerian security agencies, will give an opportunity to compare notes, and where there is need for any action, the actions will be clearly stated, and what intervention is needed to solve any bottleneck if there is. But I believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has, if you've seen the previous budget, has given enough resources, has given enough support to the Nigerian security agencies. And I believe that without facts and figures, it will be difficult for anybody to categorically speak with confidence of the true nature of the thing. So we will have to listen to the outcome of that meeting if it ever takes place.
So, at the point when President Tinubu actually saw what the police did in rescuing that family, and what the joint military operations did in rescuing over 360 people, he said, look, no room for the terrorists. No inch of the land of Nigeria will be governed by terrorists, so to speak. But people are worried. We are moving towards elections, insecurity. What guarantee? Like, you are the DG of Tinubu support group. What guarantee does the government have when it comes to ensuring that there's going to be free and fair election because of security?
Yeah, so I assure you that the plan of the Independent National Electoral Commission is to ensure that a free, playing ground is provided for all political parties to contest freely and ensure credible elections take place. But there are laid down rules and regulations that have been provided by the electoral empire, and the parties are expected to, first of all, comply. And when you don't comply, then you hold yourself responsible for any action that follows in consequence to your inaction. And also, I believe that, so far, INEC has asked people, all the parties, to do the primaries, and parties have gone ahead and have done their primaries, and they will be expected to submit names to INEC of those who are successful candidates, and then after that there will be time for campaign. And I believe that people should not just assume that election will not be free and fair. They should do everything possible to work hard towards canvassing support from Nigerians, explaining to Nigerians what their policies are, what their manifesto is, and convince Nigerians that they are the best candidates to win. And I believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a product of democracy. He's been an activist, and he has said constantly that election will be free and fair. He, as a president, he will support that, and he has been supporting that. And you can't just say that won't be free and fair when the time has not come. And everybody should be committed to a free and fair election. And every time there is an election coming up, people have spoken about insecurity as a basis for either the inability to conduct elections or the potential for not having a free and fair election. Right from 2003, 2007, up to the 2023 general election. But even those areas where you have insecurities, in 2015, in Borno, as tough as it were, we've had an opportunity where the electoral empire have given Nigerians opportunity to exercise their franchise and have voted for whom they want to vote. And in 2023, the same thing, 2019, 2023, 2027 will not be different. I believe that the Nigerian security agencies always plan, provided the necessary security cover for people to go and exercise their fundamental right to choose their leadership. However, you agree with me that even in that context, there are some places where insecurity will not allow for an election. But sometimes it's even the politicians where there is no insecurity that will create a problem that will make it impossible to have an election. But the overall, at the end, you have to take the overall picture. What is the electoral success in that particular election cycle? If 90 to 95% of the places have had the opportunity to cast their votes, be counted, and be declared, then 5 or less than 5% cannot be used as a basis to discontinue the successes that have been recorded. So I believe that just like in the past, in 2027, Nigerian security will provide adequate security for election. The INEC and our party and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have also committed themselves to a free and fair election where the votes will count. So I look forward to it. I'm an optimistic person, and I am not really that pessimistic. So people who have not prepared should not use that as a basis to explain failure even before it happens.
So you are an incurable optimist.
That's what they call me.
Good. So, having said so, in spite of this optimism, if you look at each time there's election cycle, the insecurity, schools are always issues. Look at Chibok, for example. I mean, you go to Dapchi, Chibok in Borno, Dapchi in Yobe. Now we're talking about elections around the corner. See what has happened in Niger State. See what has happened in Oyo State. So, I mean, is it a circle, a kind of, or a mere coincidence?
Yeah, so I'm not really a fan of conspiracy theories because sometimes they lack substance and they lack basis. So I don't usually subscribe to a lot of conspiracy theories. But sometimes, politics and politicians, people have different means of trying to win. And in some places, you cannot totally exclude politics from increase in any insecurity around the electoral process. And many a times, people have ascribed increase in some of these criminalities and associated them with, periods of electioneering, and so that there will be reason either to use it to your own end or to use it against your opponent. So I believe that sometimes it is possible that politicians don't like a fair contest. So where people would just ordinarily go canvass for support and win, they use other mundane reasons, parochial, interests and reasons to want to, justify failure or use it to undermine potential opponents that they see will succeed. So these are all realities in Nigeria, and we cannot 100% deny them. But overall, I believe that Nigerians have always won because elections generally will come, a majority of it. The majority of the polling unit stations will have a successful election, and candidates who have won declared, though there will be pockets of insecurity here and there, but it's not enough to negate the overall success of the election.
So there tends to be this, by some people's opinions rather, that there's this tendency of rocking the boat or a dog in a manger. If I can't get it, let no man get it. So let's rock. That's why continuously every bit of election in Nigeria appears to be challenged in court. Is the judiciary also part of the problem, or politicians are the problems?
So, like I told you, we in Nigeria like to win, even when we know that we can't win. And so, and democracy in Nigeria is still growing. It has not developed to a point where politicians act with decorum or with a lot of pure professionalism within the game. And so, in every contest and every election, you find people who want to win by hook or crook. And they sometimes create some of these conflicts, create some of these conditions that will make it impossible for INEC to even do its work. And it is still the politicians that connive with whoever it is to undermine the process, thinking that they will be the benefit and the beneficiaries. And when they are not the one that ultimately benefit, will go back and cry. And judges stay in their bench and listen to those who have petitioned them, and decide to challenge the victory of their own opponent. So it's about the players. It's about the political players in Nigeria and the politicians. And sometimes some people are not good losers, are not fair players, and then they don't want to accept defeat. And then sometimes it's strategy. When you want to play by the book, you expect me also to play by the book. or I expect you to play by the book if you want me to play by the book. But if I see that you are not playing by the book, sometimes it's difficult for politicians to allow you cheat and win. So it's dictated by the realities at that particular point in time. And I think it's part of development of nations, development of democracy. I believe that we'll get to a point where we'll mature and then begin to have elections that are less rancorous, that are with minimal litigations post-election. Like I told you once, if you read the book by Francis Fukuyama, Political Order, Political Decay, about 100 years ago, America was in this kind of situation where the two politics of patronage, you vote for me and I give you something, or clientele, a group of people will be working for the interest of the politician. And so they put you in office and then you service them, and patrimonialism, all those, political science terminologies that describes democracy at its infancy stage have bedeviled the United States of America, and it took them years to develop and become mature. Nigeria is a
metamorphosis.
It is a process, a developmental process, just like a child from walking, sitting, crawling, walking, and running. So it's like that. It's a developmental process that every country who is going through democracy, development has to pass through. And I believe that book makes a lot of sense because it's recording history and analyzing history. So I think Nigeria will be better as we continue to practice our democracy and make it better.
But Nigerians will say, look, for 26 years, uninterrupted democracy, no military rule, nothing. But it looks like politically we are slow learners.
So you see, that book gave you a lot of perspective. And there was a need for a reform around 1880 in that particular book in the US. Do you know how long it took them to do that reform? They call it the Pendleton Act. It took them 50 years to reform just their bureaucracy, not even their politics. If Republicans win, they will sack 40 to 50% of civil servants. 4 years later, if Democrats win, they will say, Republicans have recruited more than us, so they will sack 40 to 50% in the US, just around the 1880. And it took them 50 years to address their civil service and ensure that the reform took place. If you read that book, you will see where exactly a contractor in the US was given a contract from less than $1 million at that point in time. He will not finish it. He will do environment the following year. The same Assembly Congress will jack up the money. He will settle everybody up to hundreds of billions of the US dollars in the same United States in that book. So when I read that book, I was just seeing exactly what is happening. And we're talking about 200 plus years of democracy development in the US. And we're only talking about consistent, uninterrupted democracy just for 22 years, for 26 years, 1999 to date. I don't think any of these developed countries have any reason to want to challenge Nigeria that we are even done much more than they have done in their formative years.
So
I believe we will be greater.
How will you say Nigeria? I mean, you would want to convince Nigerians that they should support Tinubu 2027? And some will say, there's hunger, there's insecurity. Tell me why. Why? Tell your viewers why they should support Tinubu.
Okay, so it's just like you and I are going to look for a wife to marry. And you've had previous marriages that have failed. And I have one marriage that had succeeded. And you go to the next house, I go to the next house. All the father and the mother of the daughter needs to do is to x-ray the previous marriages that you've had and the ones that I've had. And when they see that, okay, let me not put the negative side on you. If they see that my own history is so bad in holding my home, nurturing my marriages, and it's enough evidence to say, okay, we'll choose Ben Adam and give him a daughter.
There could be some circumstances,
so
some that you can't control.
Yeah, so
for example, I mean, death. We had a president who died. Well in office.
We're looking at those who lived. For you and I to go chasing and hoping to marry, it means we're alive. So for all these candidates, thank God, at the 30th May, INEC deadline is over, and we know the candidates. Each of these parties, we know who have won their primaries, even if INEC has not reached the level of pasting it and publishing it. We know their history when they were governors. And we can compare their history as governors with the history of Asiwaju as a governor. On the same level, he had done far better than they have done. Some have served at the highest level as number 2 citizens in this country. And they started the policy of selling everything that is owned by Nigerians. They had the opportunity to do things that will help the common man. But they were the ones that were responsible for selling what belongs to the common man. And they are now coming back to say, no, we love the common man. How will they say so? The common man knows and remembers how they ruled this country. When they were in office, we knew what they did with the foreign reserve. They couldn't build the foreign reserve. Asiwaju has built a foreign reserve to $49 billion right now. They ensured that they've been collecting debt to the level that 97% of our budget went for debt servicing. They created that condition. Asiwaju came and has solved that problem. We are now operating at less than 60%. Our GDP was less than, when they were there, was around 2.73. Asiwaju has taken it to 4%. The prices of food and commodities has come down. Before a bag of rice, Thailand was 140. That one that is produced locally over 100 and something thousand. Now it's 50,000. In fact, that day, some farmers were insulting me that I was saying that the commodities have come down. I said, when it was high, Nigerians are complaining. When it is low, Nigerians are complaining. So
the way you are going now, you started the campaign, so we'll send a bill.
No, I'm just telling you administration. I'm telling the successors of the government.
We'll send a bill so that we know that you've started.
No, these are facts. These are facts and figures. And the governors now don't collect loan. The governor of Kwara State just recently said he has settled 40% of his loan. And many still have cleared their debt. And they pay salary as at when due because they have excess money now. It's Asiwaju that has done it. But who put the state under the condition that they are borrowing and they are unable to pay salary? Previous government. And the same people are going back. What have they forgotten Aso Rock? One of them said he's hungry. So because he was in office and he has eaten enough, now he's out of office, he's hungry, he wants to come back and steal the balance. So
yes, it's here that we just have to call it quit. We have to end it. I mean, there are many other times ahead of us so that you come and tell us what APC, the president, is up to in terms of providing succor to Nigerians, what we call dividends of democracy. That is Dr. Umar Tanko Yakasai. He's the Director General, Tinubu Support Group. I want to thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you very much.
And proudly Nigeria too.
Thank you very much.
You love your green passport?
I love it.
Thank you very much. My name is Ben Adam Shaman. Till we meet again, keep watching Third Eye Africa TV. Bye for now.